Hi friends, and welcome to this yin yoga practice. It's a nice little sequence for your spine. So we will be moving through all the movements of the spine. We'll be doing decompression, compression, some lateral stretches, as well as twisting. And we'll be holding the poses for 2 to 3 minutes. So if you're really enjoying a pose, you want to hold it for longer, you can always just press pause on the computer and stay there for a bit. Or if you feel like you need to come out of it a little bit sooner, you can go ahead and take your time, come out of it. Always listen to your body and then join back in when you're ready. Let's get into something comfy and come onto our mats and get started. So today we are going to get started in a Recline Butterfly. So coming up down onto your back here, keep your knees bent, slowly reclining yourself, and then letting the soles of your feet come together and your knees drop out to the side. And you can always add little props underneath your thighs here if you're feeling like you're quite tight into the hips or just want some extra support there. And I like to place my hands on my body here. Left hand can come to the heart, right hand to the belly, and then find a bit of a scoop of your shoulder blades underneath your chest here. Lengthen through the back of the neck. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And just take a few moments here to arrive into your body. Noticing where the breath is at. See if you can soften into your belly so you can invite those inhales a little bit deeper, feeling that right hand rise up. And each exhale offers a nice release. So letting go of any tension, any stressors that you might have in your life right now. And just seeing if you can dedicate these next few minutes to yourself. And I want to encourage you here to be really attuned to the quality of your experience. Trying to come to your mats with a bit of an intention. So that intentionality can really bring a shallow experience to a more in-depth experience. And there are so many different things that you can then draw upon, lessons that you can learn. So play around with that. And it's quite common that we get pulled this way and that way. So try not to judge yourself for it. Just notice whenever your mind has wandered and then see if you can bring it back in, deepen your attention. And that breath is a beautiful anchor. So whenever you do feel mind wanders, you might just find a few deeper, more intentional breaths. We'll enjoy 5 more full cycles of breath here together. Maybe seeing if you can find little pauses at the top and at the bottom of the breath. And that last breath, let's make it a nice cleansing one. So big inhale. And open up your mouth and sigh it out. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in through the nose. Open the mouth, give it back. Beautiful. And you can use your hands here to let your knees close together like a buck. And then you can just heel toe your feet to the long edges of your mat. You could draw your arms overhead here as you let your knees drop in towards each other, a little bit like a tent. You could stay here just enjoying your lower back a bit more flush to your mat. Or if it feels good, you might enjoy some windshield wipers, knees dropping to one side and then to the other. You can always add your breath here into the equation. So as you inhale, come back to center. Exhale, drop to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale, drop to the other. And maybe you want to add your neck too. So as you drop to the right, then you might look to the left. And then vice versa here. As you drop the knees to the left, so look to the right. One more time on either side if you like to take these little wipers. Beautiful. Meeting back at center, let's reach for a nice long stretch. So extending your legs towards the front of the mat, arms reaching towards the back. You might pull one wrist at a time or circle at your ankles, point flex your feet. Anything that feels good here. One more big inhale. Exhale, let's bring the knees to the chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Little massage can feel good here. Swaying side to side. And eventually we roll over to our left or right side, fetal position. You can rest your head onto your arm there, enjoying a nice little tuck of your tailbone as you draw your knees higher than 90 degrees here. And you might close your eyes again. Come back to your awareness within. What's your intention here on the mat? And it might not be much. It might simply be, I am here. I show up for myself. We'll press ourselves up to seated from here. I'm going to come into a bit of a tabletop position. Whenever you're ready, take your time. So you want to stack those shoulders on top of your wrists, your hips on top of the knees. Enjoying nice long spine, tailbone to crown of your head here. Finding an inhale and exhale, side out. You can enjoy some cow and cat undulations here. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, nice cow pose. Exhale, round. So starting to play around with some compressions, decompressions here. One more of each. Beautiful. Back into a neutral spine here now. We're gonna work ourselves into a bit of a upper back compression, shoulder opener in a melting heart pose, also called puppy pose. So I'm gonna try to keep our hips fairly high here. I'm gonna go ahead and walk our hands forward. So hips will stay on top of the knees, simply letting our chest draw down. Forehead might land on the mat. Maybe for you, stacking your forearms and resting there works better. Or a block of some sort can also help here. Now find a good place here that works for you. And see if you can soften behind your heart. Soften your jawline. And if your knees ever get sore here, you can always double wrap a towel or the mat underneath your knees. Try to deepen your breath. Use those exhales to soften into the pose rather than fighting it. Ten more full cycles of breath here. Maybe you count the breaths down, seeing if each exhale can extend a little bit further. Last big inhale. And as you exhale, look forward. Start to lift the chest a bit so you can roll onto your belly. Shoulders will stack on top of your elbows here. So landing into a little bit of a Spinx pose. You want to think about rolling those shoulders back. So squeeze your shoulder blades together. Nice broadness across your collarbones. And then your feet can be a little bit wider and you want to soften through your leg muscles and soften your glutes. So you might want to squeeze those glutes and then release just to feel the difference. And then actively, you want to start to, not actively, fairly passively, sorry. You want to start to feel weight into the pelvis. So letting that root down into the mat. And feeling that compression now into your lower back. So your lumbar spine, called the lordotic curve. It's what kind of helps us walk upright on our two legs, helps us with posture. And sometimes when we get older, when that lordotic curve is reduced, it can cause a lot of pains and aches. So really beneficial here to work into it a bit. And your head could stay in neutral position. Or you might want to drop your chin down. Some people like placing a block of some sort underneath their forehead for support. Or if you want an opening to the front of your neck, you can always drop it back as well. Whatever feels good for you here. You might close your eyes once you've landed. Check in where your breath is at. Each inhale, feel the belly pressing into the mat. Feel the breath moving into your chest. And then as you exhale, soften the glutes. Feel the weight of the pelvis. And become aware of your finger mat finger pads pressing gently into the mat. Just that little connection to build awareness. Feel the toenails, the tops of your feet on the mat. You can go ahead and scan your facial muscles, making sure here you're not holding tension. The teeth are nicely separated, so there's a little gap there. And then we'll let the tongue just simply rest at the top of the mouth. And soften behind your eyes. So even if your eyes are open, nice soft gaze. And perhaps your intention here is simply to stay. I am here. I show up for myself. But coming in with that accepting heart, loving heart. Every time you come to your mat, you might feel slightly different. So be very attuned to those little small changes that you might feel from time to time. Different flavors of your practice. I think Haxi really likes this one. Haxi is my dog for those who have not seen him yet. Five more breaths. Let's finish off with a cleansing breath. Big inhale. And sigh it out. Slowly let your elbows come out to the side. You're going to let the right cheek be landed on the back of your palms or on the mat while you cactus your arms. Then let's move into a half frog. So sliding the inside of your left leg up slightly towards your left elbow. So think about a 90-degree angle. And your toes are pointing outwards. This is going to add a nice little decompressing element, a little tucking of the tailbone after that compression, which feels really good. And enjoy the back body breathing here. As you inhale, you might feel the belly, your chest pressing into the mat, and see if you can send your breath into the back body. And as you exhale, soften the fronts of the body, almost like you're melting into the mat. If you're really enjoying that inner thigh stretch here, if you want more, craving more, just try to find some more space in between your right hip and your left knee. Some of you might even want to roll up a towel and place it underneath your left knee. One final breath here. Slowly releasing your left leg next to your right. And let's come back onto our forearms again. We're going to do a second round of compression into our lower back. So for the second time, I'll give you a couple options to move a little bit deeper. So if the first one felt great and that's where you want to stay, that's perfectly fine. There's a couple of ways that you could add a little bit more of compression. One is to slowly lift your feet up in the air. Knees might come a little bit wider, that's okay. Another one is to place something underneath your forearms, maybe some blocks or books. And then lastly, if you wanted to try full seal posture, bring your hands a little bit wider, fingertips pointing slightly more outwards. And then from here, lifting your elbows off the mat. And hands can then walk closer to you to find that edge, that place that feels good. And then scoop your shoulder blades behind you. Feel those collarbones broadening towards the front of the mat. And same options here again for your head. You might drop it down or keep it in neutral, or let your head drop towards the back, so opening the front of your throat. And for those who are still craving more and you're in seal, maybe you bend your knees in seal. And maybe see if you can see your feet behind your head, pressing your head into the soles of your feet. One day maybe. Take a moment here as you land. Check in with your facial muscles, softening. Check in with the quality of your breath. Perhaps see if you can deepen it a bit. And where is your attention at? Can you bring it closer to home? And if at any point, whatever station you landed at doesn't feel good anymore, move to a different one. Or if you have that invitation to perhaps go a little bit deeper, feel free to explore. Make this practice your own. Be curious. But also be loving and forgiving to yourself as well. Five more full cycles of breath. Try to make them nice and full, maybe even counting them down. You might repeat, breathing in and breathing out. Last big inhale, and sigh it out. And slowly coming out the same way you came in. So forearms down, feet down, moving super slow here as you come out of it. And this time half frog on the other side. So your left cheek might rest on the backs of your palms or on the mat. And then pull your right knee up. Oh, hi Buddha. Pull your right knee up to about a 90-degree angle here, so the inside of the leg is resting on the mat. And if you're craving a bit more of a stretch to your inner right thigh, maybe you move your left hip a bit further away from your right knee. And enjoy this rebound sensation. You might feel a temperature change in the area around your lower back, or a slight tingling as the connective tissues regather. Just a few more breaths here. Try to stay with your experience, at the core of your experience. Last big breath. Slowly releasing. Right leg next to the left. And bring your hands under your shoulders and press back for a bit of a child's pose. Now you might be close-legged, wide-legged, whatever feels good. Forehead can come down onto a block or the mat. Maybe stacked fists. I like to swim my arms back on either side of the body. Three full breaths here. Slowly peel our chest up. Gonna go ahead and just scooch over to one side and release the legs in front of us. We're working with some compressions in the back body. We're gonna work with some or a decompression here. We did some small ones before, but this will work a little bit deeper, creating more space in between those vertebrae. So I'll give you a couple of options you can do. So a butterfly position here can be really nice, and sitting up on something can feel good. Maybe it's a block, maybe it's simply a towel, or just rolling up your mat a couple of times. And then as you come into forward fold, think about rounding forward, tucking your chin in. So butterfly, great option. Some of you might simply bend your knees in front of you and reach your arms underneath and then fold forward from here. That block can be nice if you can't rest the forehead on your knees. And then with time, you can always adjust your depth here by walking your feet away from you. And enjoying now that beautiful stretch into your lower back. Feeling the back body opening. You might feel it in your hips a little bit, your hamstrings perhaps. Some of you might simply want to leave the legs straight in front of you and simply rest the arms like that. You adjust however feels good, but soften your feet wherever you are. And let the head be heavy. You might find a few nods and shakes. Use your inhales, breathe into the back body. Surrendering the weight of the head forward with the exhales. So nice things, the gravity helps us a little bit here. Massaging into those connective tissues around the spinal cord. And try not to think of your pose as this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. Just one breath at a time. That breath is all that exists then and there. Inhaling and exhaling. And leaning into the simplicity of that will help you to calm down your nervous system. 3 more full cycles of breath here. Before coming out of a passive forward fold, it's always a good idea to gently activate your pelvic floor, protecting your spine here as you slowly roll yourself up. One vertebrae at a time. All the way to the top. You might want to count your lean back onto your hands. Some of you might do some windshield wipers here. Dropping your head back if that feels okay. Beautiful. If you need a sip of water here or put on any more pieces of clothing if you're feeling a bit chilly, do it now, and then we'll meet on our back when you're ready. Reclining yourself all the way down. Gonna meet here in this nice horizontal position. Take a moment to feel the mat holding you up. Can you feel your breath in your belly and your chest? Make this practice intentional. Show up for yourself. Nowhere else you need to be right now. Nothing else that you need to be doing. Go ahead now and reach the arms overhead. We're going to prepare for a nice lateral stretch. Bananasana, a nice little arch shape of the body. So walking the feet to the bottom left corner of the mat. And then trying to keep your hips where they are. Pelvis is nice and even. Just walk your arms and your head towards the top left corner of the mat. You might leave your arms parallel or clasp one wrist. Maybe you clasp opposite elbow. Whatever feels good there for your arms. Even if it feels like the arms are not happy at all over your head, you can still do this. Just release your arms on either side of the body. And then let the head drop wherever it feels comfortable. Make sure both sit bones are grounded. If you're itching for a little bit more of a stretch to your IT band and outer hip, you can always plant your right ankle over the left. And where are you feeling the stretch? Scan the body. Can you contact that stretch with your inhale? And any tension you might have found there, releasing it from the body with your exhale. Letting the breath now guide you into some stillness. Remember those three tenets of yin yoga is that we come to our own edge. That space, that place where we feel a good sense of a stretch. Not too much, not too little. And then we hold it for an extended amount of time. So time being the second tenet. And lastly, stillness. Stillness of the mind and stillness of the body if that is possible. So when I say if that is possible, meaning that you might have to come out after a while if for your body holding it for this long does not feel good. Find your practice and your limits. Listen inwards. Your breath is a good messenger. So if you find it hard to breathe, maybe take it back a notch, come out of it for a few breaths, and then try again. One more breath on this side. Great work. Slowly returning to center, moving out the same way you moved in. You can release the arms on either side of the body. Take a moment just to enjoy any rebound sensation of that lateral stretch. We will continue to work a little bit on the right side body here, but adding a twist now into our spine, bending into our knees. You might want to scoop your hips a little bit over to the right, and then drop your knees to the left. It might feel good to clasp your right knee and kind of hold it down with that left hand. Your right arm might reach out to the side here, maybe bend at the elbow. Gaze could follow over your right shoulder, adding a nice little twist all the way up into your neck. And always feel free to modify. Maybe you want to twist your legs, wrap them a little bit, or add a block in between your knees, or some sort of a book or block-like shape, or a towel even, to help you here feel more comfortable. If your eyes are open, nice, steady, soft gaze. Nice little visual exercise you can always do if your eyes are open. It's imagining that you're breathing the world in front of you inwards as you inhale. And then breathing it back outwards as you exhale. Three more breaths here. Slowly we inhale back to center. Realign your hips. Unravel your legs here. You might reach for a nice long stretch. And from there we can move straight into our Bananasana on the other side. This time moving your feet to the bottom right corner. And then slowly your arms, your head towards the top right corner. When adjusting here, you might clasp the left wrist, maybe pulling a little bit to add into the stretch. Maybe you keep your arms parallel or cactus, or even on either side. So you want to avoid any tingling in your fingertips. Just be very attuned to that. So if tingling appears, draw your arms a little bit lower or down on either side. And the feet, same thing as on the other side. You might want to add left ankle over right ankle. It's going to add a nice little stretch there to the outer hip, the IT band. And making sure your head is comfortable. You can just drop it wherever it goes. Soften your jawline. final 3 breaths. So you're making the deepest breaths of your pose. Perhaps you can really become aware of those pauses at the top and at the bottom of the breath cycle. At your own time, eventually making your way back to the center line. And let your arms come back down. And take a moment here. Let everything recalibrate, but stay with your experience. Moving into our twists now. On the other side, so bending into our knees. I want to scoot your hips over to the left a little bit and just drop your legs to the right. It can feel quite supporting to place a hand on your left knee. Maybe you add a towel or block in between your legs. And I like to reach out straight with my left arm. Some of you might want to bend at the elbow. Again, remember any tingling sensations, just bring your hand a little bit below the height of your shoulder. Sometimes nerves can get a little bit pinched and cause that tingling. So just adjust and make sure everything feels comfortable and sustainable. The breath is still there. The peace of mind, you're not feeling like you're struggling or fighting with your body. And let that breath bring you into the stillness. And if you're finding that you're in your head a lot, see if you can move your awareness a little bit more into your body, letting the whole body dissolve into this cloud of sensations, of pressure, of air, of temperature. Three more breaths. Slowly returning here, back to center, realigning your hips. And if you like, you can go ahead and hug your knees for one final hug. Maybe you bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Squeeze it in. And then unravel Savasana. So you might want to place a rolled up towel or a bolster underneath your knees. Scoop those shoulder blades underneath your chest so you can easily turn your palms up. Let your fingertips curl in. Find the nice long neck humbling through your chin. And close the eyes. Together we'll find a big inhale. and sigh it out. Come home to yourself. Stay with your experience here right at the end, allowing yourself to simmer in all the beneficial elements that your practice might have brought you here. All the good feels. But stay intentional still. I am here. I invite you to stay and hold your Savasana for at least a few more breaths, perhaps a few more minutes if you have the time. And I wanted to just thank all of you for joining me today. And please feel free to check out my other videos and feel free to add requests in the comment section below. From my heart to each and every one of yours, namaste.